Jai Gurudev, in our previous discussion, we delved into the protective nature of the Kanda Shashti Kavacham. Could you shed light on the deeper philosophical and spiritual meanings embedded within this hymn? The Kanda Shashti Kavacham isn't just a prayer for physical protection but also spiritual invocation. Each verse is designed not only to protect the body but to elevate the soul. The depiction of Lord Murugan's divine qualities, his strength, valor, wisdom, and compassion, embodies the highest ideals of spiritual protection. For instance, the repetition of divine names like Sehagana, Sehagana symbolizes the unbreakable connection between the devotee and the divine. The various forms of protection depicted, like from the head to the feet, are not just physical shields but represent guarding the mind, intellect, and emotions from negative influences. That's interesting, it seems. Like these verses serve a dual purpose, both as a spiritual practice and as a form of inner transformation. How does the invocation of the well, Murugan's divine weapon, fill into this framework? The well is not just a weapon in a literal sense. It symbolizes the power of discernment, wisdom, and the destruction of ignorance in the Kanshashti Kavacha. The well is mentioned repeatedly as a tool of protection for various body parts, which aligns with its metaphorical role in protecting one's spiritual integrity. The well is often seen as Murugan's weapon to defeat evil, but in this context, it also signifies a power to cut through the illusions of the material world and bring clarity to the mind. The act of invoking the well helps devotees overcome their own inner demons by their doubt, fear, or confusion, leading to greater self realization. That's a beautiful perspective. Could you also explain the role of the melody and the rhythm in the recitation of this hymn, particularly in the context of its impact on the mind and body? The musicality and rhythm of the Kandashashti Kavacham are designed to enhance the power of the words. The repetitive nature of the verses, particularly the chanting of sounds like ra, 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 and re, 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 creates a form of auditory resonance that can influence both the subconscious mind and the body's energy centers. These rhythms are known to induce a meditative state, aligning with the principle of sound vibrations in Hindu philosophy. The sound of these syllables has a unique power to elevate the consciousness, bringing the practitioner into a deeper connection with the divine presence of Lord Murugan. This chanting can lead to a state of mindfulness where the devotee experiences a heightened sense of peace and protection. It is fascinating how the hymn engages the body, mind, and spirit as we look at its continued relevance, especially in today's fast paced world. How can this ancient hymn help individuals manage stress and modern challenges? The Kanda Shashti Kavacham provides a sanctuary from the chaos of modern life in today's world. Stress is often a byproduct of external pressures and internal conflicts. The Kavacham offers a powerful tool to restore balance. When recited with sincerity, the verses help create a mental shield against stressors, allowing the individual to remain calm and centered. The hymn acts as a reminder that we are not alone in facing our challenges. Lord Murugan's protection is always there beyond physical protection. The hymn fosters resilience, encourages inner peace, and allows us to confront life's difficulties with confidence and grace. It seems like the Kandashashti Kavacham has a profound multifaceted impact. Could you share any stories or experiences where the Kavacham has helped devotees in a transformative way? Many devotees have shared their experiences of finding solace and protection through the Kavacham. One story I recall is about a devotee who was going through a very difficult period, struggling with health issues and family problems. Despite seeking various remedies, nothing seemed to work. When they turned to the Kandashashti Kavacham, chanting it regularly with faith, they began to notice changes both physically and mentally. Their health improved, and they also experienced a shift in their mindset. What stood out was how they reported feeling a sense of divine presence, as though Lord Murugan was directly intervening in their life. Stories like these are common among those who practice this hymn with devotion. These personal testimonials add a beautiful dimension to the hymn's significance. To conclude, how can individuals incorporate the teachings of the Kandashashti Kavacham into their everyday lives? The key is regular practice and deep devotion. Chanting the Kavacham not only in times of need, but as a daily spiritual discipline can help create a constant sense of protection and divine presence by aligning oneself with the attributes of Lord Murugan: bravery, wisdom, purity, and devotion. Devotees can navigate life's challenges with greater ease. The hymn also teaches us to focus on our inner strength, to conquer fear and doubt, and to always remain connected to our higher purpose. In essence, the Kandashashti Kavacham serves as a reminder that we are part of a larger divine plan, and through faith, devotion, and constant remembrance, we can overcome any challenges. We have touched on many aspects of the Kandashashti Kavacham, but I would like to ask about the role of symbolism in the hymn. Could you elaborate on the significance of the symbolic images and how they connect with the verses? The symbolism in the Kanda Shashti Kavacham is rich and layered. Each verse uses vivid imagery to represent aspects of Lord Murugan's divine power. For example, his well is not just a weapon, it is a representation of divine energy, the strength to cut through ignorance and obstacles. The moody head of the devotee is mentioned as being protected first, symbolizing the importance of clarity of thought and wisdom. The verses then move to the eyes, ears, and mouth, which represent the need to safeguard perception, speech, and the way one interacts with the world. The imagery of Murugan's celestial mount, the peacock, is also powerful. The peacock represents beauty, strength, and majesty, and by invoking the imagery of the peacock, the devotee is reminded of these attributes and encouraged to embody them in their own life. Similarly, the reference to the Kavacham itself, the armor, is a metaphor for spiritual resilience. The hymn acts as a shield, not just in a physical sense, but also to protect one's emotional, mental, and spiritual well being. That makes the verses sound much more than a simple prayer. It seems that each word has its own spiritual and philosophical depth. How does the hymn address the concept of surrender or bhakti devotion to Lord Murugan? Bhakti is at the core of the Kandashashti Kavacham. The very act of chanting the hymn is an expression of surrender, a recognition that the devotee is dependent on the divine for protection and guidance. Lord Murugan is often depicted as a deity who listens to the pleas of his devotees, and through the Kavacham, the devotee places full trust in his divine will. The hymn emphasizes complete surrender, asking Murugan to take charge of the devotee's life, to remove obstacles, and to offer spiritual enlightenment. In many of the verses, there is a recurring theme of complete reliance on the divine, where the devotee offers all aspects of their being's thoughts, words, and actions to Lord Murugan. This act of surrender is a form of bhakti that transcends mere ritual. It is about cultivating an attitude of humility and devotion that aligns the soul with the divine presence. That's a powerful way to look at it. Speaking of the relationship between devotion and protection, how does the Kandashashti Kavacham help devotees overcome fear or anxiety which are prevalent in today's world? The Kavacham offers a direct antidote to fear and anxiety by providing a tangible sense of protection. When you chant the verses, you mentally visualize Lord Murugan's shield or protection enveloping you. This visualization, combined with the recitation of the sacred names and divine attributes, reassures the devotee that no harm can come to them, whether physically, mentally, or emotionally. The protective verses act as a constant reminder that the divine force is always around, preventing fear from taking root. Additionally, the Kavachams focus on overcoming internal fears, be it self doubt, existential uncertainty, or the fear of failure, aligns with psychological concepts like resilience and positive thinking. Just as a warrior faces external threats with the belief in the strength of their armor, a devotee faces life's challenges with the belief and the protection of the divine. Over time, this practice helps reduce the psychological impact of stress and anxiety. So, the hymn has a therapeutic aspect to it, not just spiritually, but also in terms of mental health. That brings us to the practical side. How can people incorporate the Kandashashti Kavacham into their daily lives, especially for those who are new to it? For newcomers, the first step is to overcome and approach the Kavacham with an open heart and a sense of reverence. It is not just about reciting the verses mechanically, it is about creating connection with the divine. Ideally, it should be recited early in the morning or before sleep when the mind is calm, even if one doesn't know all the verses by heart. Starting with a few and focusing on their meaning is a good beginning. For those who are looking to incorporate it as a daily practice, consistency is key. Even if one can't recite all the verses at once, chanting a few verses with focus and devotion while visualizing Lord Murugan's protection can have a profound impact. It is also helpful to understand the meaning of each verse. Deeper connection amplifies the power of the recitation. Finally, those who are part of the community can join group recitations during auspicious occasions like Kanda Shashti or monthly Murugan Pujas. This communal chanting enhances the spiritual experience as the collective energy of the group adds power to the individual's practice. It sounds like the hymn is not only about individual devotion, but also about community and collective energy. Is there any historical or cultural context in the way the Kavacham has been practiced in time in temples and communities? Yes, historically, the Kandashashti Kavacham has been a central part of Murugan worship in South India, particularly during the annual Kandashashti festival. Temples dedicated to Lord Murugan often hold special events where the Kavacham is recited in unison by devotees. This practice fosters a deep sense of community as a collective chanting serves not only to honor Lord Murugan but also to invoke his protection for the entire community. In many temples, the recitation of the Kavacham is accompanied by rituals, processions, and special offerings to Murugan. These events provide a space for devotees to come together and experience the transformative power of the hymn in a shared environment. The significance of this collective energy cannot be overstated, as the power of communal worship is believed to amplify the effects of individual devotion. In the modern world, many people feel disconnected from their spiritual roots. Do you think the practice of reciting the Kanda Shashti Kavacham can help individuals reconnect with their spiritual heritage, especially for those living outside of India? Absolutely. The Kanda Shashti Kavacham has a timeless quality that transcends geographical boundaries. In the modern world, people often feel disconnected from their spiritual roots due to the fast pace of life and the demands of the material world. However, reciting the Kavacham offers a simple yet profound way to reconnect with one's spiritual heritage regardless of where you are. For individuals outside of India or those with limited access to temples, the practice of reciting the Kavacham at home or in a quiet space can be just as effective. The verses, which are a form of Sanskrit poetry, have an inherent vibrational energy. By reciting them with devotion and understanding their meanings, individuals can create a powerful spiritual atmosphere in their own homes, fostering a deep sense of connection with Lord Murugan regardless of physical location. Furthermore, the practice of chanting is accessible to people from all walks of life, making it an inclusive way to tap into the benefits of this ancient spiritual tradition. That's a great point, especially since the global diaspora has been seeking ways to retain their cultural and spiritual identities. How can the teachings of Lord Murugan, as reflected in the Kanda Shashti Kavacham, be applied to address modern day challenges such as anxiety, stress, and a lack of direction? The teachings of Lord Murugan in the Kanda Shashti Kavacham are deeply applicable to modern day challenges. Murugan is often seen as a warrior who combats the forces of ignorance, darkness, and delusion. This metaphor is especially relevant in today's world where many people are fighting battles against stress, anxiety, and confusion in their personal and professional lives. The Kavacham emphasizes mental clarity, inner strength, and the ability to overcome obstacles. It teaches that with the protection and guidance of Lord Murugan, devotees can face their challenges with courage and faith. For example, the hymn highlights the importance of self purification, focusing the mind, and aligning one's actions with spiritual ideals. These teachings can help modern day individuals navigate the complexities of life with a clear mind, making decisions that are both wise and compassionate. Additionally, the protective aspect of the Kavacham is crucial in managing anxiety and stress. By mentally picturing the divine armor of Lord Murugan, devotees can envision themselves shielded from negative influences and emotional turmoil. This practice can act as a form of mental and emotional resilience, reminding individuals that they are never alone in their struggles and that divine support is always present. Given the complexity of modern life, people are often looking for practical solutions that they can implement immediately. Could you recommend a way to begin incorporating the Kanda Shashti Kavacham into one's daily routine for those new to the practice? For beginners, I recommend starting with small steps. You don't need to jump into reciting the entire Kavacham at once. Begin with a few verses or even a single verse. The key is consistency and devotion. One effective way to start is to dedicate a few minutes each morning or evening to recite or even listen to the Kavacham. This helps set the tone for the day, inviting Lord Murugan's protection and blessings into your life. Another approach is to focus on the meanings of the verses. Reading and understanding the significance of the verses can deepen your practice, especially if you are new to Sanskrit or the meanings behind the hymns. Many people also find it helpful to listen to recorded recitations or attend group recitations at temples, which can help you learn the rhythm and pronunciation. Additionally, setting an intention before reciting the Kavacham, such as seeking peace of mind, clarity in decision making, or protection from anxiety, can help give the practice a personal and meaningful connection. The beauty of Kavacham is that it's both practical and deeply spiritual, offering benefits on both levels. It seems that the Kanda Shashti Kavacham can be both an individual and a communal practice, each complementing the other. How does the hymn encourage the devotee to not just seek protection but also to live a life of righteousness, dharma, and virtue? The Kanda Shashti Kavacham's essence is not only about seeking protection but also about aligning oneself with divine righteousness or dharma. Many of the verses mention the need for the devotee to be fearless and steadfast in their pursuit of truth. By invoking Lord Murugan, who is often seen as a symbol of justice and righteous war, the devotee is encouraged to engage in life with a sense of duty and moral responsibility. The Kavacham teaches that protection comes not just through external means but also through internal strength. By living a life of virtue, compassion, and wisdom, traits that Murugan embodies, one invites the blessings of the deity. The hymn stresses that true protection comes from living in harmony with Dharma, which leads to peace, fulfillment, and divine grace. Moreover, Lord Murugan's role as the protector of the righteous is emphasized. By reciting the Kavacham with sincere devotion, the devotee is reminded to walk the path of virtue, knowing that Lord Murugan supports those who are committed to truth and justice. Jai Gurudev.